He is Pro Football Hall of Famer Troy Aikman. How are you, Troy?
I'm doing good, Rich. Thank you.
Yeah. So, Joe, is he going to go full beard, do you think, for the whole season? What do you think here?
You know, he did last year, and, he started out the season, preseason, he was without a beard, and then yesterday,
He showed
had
up?
one. He was working on it last week. I think his wife, Michelle, likes him with a beard.
Okay.
I only guess.
We have something in common then. I love how you say working on it, like he can't do, he needs time.
I think he was working on it most of last year. Yeah.
Nice. So the game that you guys were working yesterday, what did you glean from Giants Redskins? What did you learn, Troy, after that game or throughout it that you wanted to learn going in?
I think the Giants are still a really good team. Defensively, I believe that they're what they have been, what they've shown. There's a tendency because they were so poor last year that, they would still be not a real good group this year. But with the changes that they've made, the people they've brought in, I think they're solid. I like them a lot more now after having seen them a couple times two of the last 3 weeks, even though they lost that game. Had a chance, like so many of these games, to come down at the very end and win it. I think it's a situation that Eli Manning typically thrives in. He certainly has more than he has not. And, not everyone's always going to win those games. But I thought the game really, I don't want to say must win, Rich. It's awfully early for that kind of conversation. But yet, for the Redskins to be 0-2 at home and now playing on the road, and if they had lost that game, they're 3.5 games out, after 3 games to the Giants, and they were able to find a way to win, as ugly as it kind of was at times for them. I thought it was a really nice win for them and something that maybe they can build on. But it just really kind of goes to show you, I guess, that it's hard to string together 3-4 wins in a row in this league, and the NFC East, like it was a year ago, I think it's improved division, but it's going to be, pretty tight race throughout this whole season.
If you had to choose one of the two, Troy, Odell Beckham has a Josh Norman problem or Odell Beckham has an overall fuse problem, which one would you choose?
Oh, I think it's more of a Josh Norman issue. I've seen a number of his games, and there's never been a problem that I've seen. I commented on it a little bit yesterday in our broadcast. I've been around, volatile receivers. You work with one of them.
Yes.
And Michael Irvin, and Michael and I have an amazing relationship, and we did as teammates. But he was a guy that was very emotional when he was not getting the football, and I think you see that from time to time with Odell Beckham, but especially in that game yesterday, just because of the hype going in. And I didn't realize last year we had that game when the Giants played Carolina, and all the antics took place, and I didn't realize that there was a hatred prior to that game, and I don't know that there was, but certainly since that game, there's been a lot of conversation. I think Josh Norman's been the one who's done most of the talking, and so he was pretty motivated, Odell Beckham was, to kind of prove that, he could play at an elite level against one of the game's best corners, and it started out kind of the way that I thought it would, and then there, towards the end of the ball game, temper started to flare a little bit more, and I think it was just the heat of the game.
Troy Aikman, Pro Football Hall of Famer, 3-time Super Bowl champion, NFL on Fox lead analyst with Joe Buck joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. You're the perfect guy to ask this question, Troy. You know what it's like playing quarterback in Dallas. You also know Jerry Jones and also the way that the coaching staff operates Jason Garrett very, very well. Dak Prescott looks awesome. I know you need to pump the brakes on a kid, coming out of college, fourth-round choice, but he looks like he knows what he's doing, and it's all working right now. And the conversation has already began that Romo could be in the Bledsoe position here and Dak Prescott in the Romo position here. What do you say, Troy?
Well, I don't think it is time to tap the brakes. I think it was coming into the season. I really liked what I saw as everybody did in the preseason. It's a different time than it was years ago. We've seen a lot of rookie quarterbacks come into this league and have measurable success, whereas there was a time when you never saw that. So I think, it was logical years ago to say, wait till you get to the regular season. But these guys are so much more prepared. So I was the first to say, the regular season is different. But what I had seen of him, I really thought that he would continue to play well. Now, what I've been surprised about, Rich, is that he really hasn't had any hiccups. I mean, he's not had any period where you looked at him over the first 3 games and said, yeah, okay, that's a rookie move. I mean, he's going through that rookie learning curve, and it just has not happened. And I met him for the first time on the Friday before the opening game of the season. We had that game against the Giants. I'd heard a lot of good things about him, but until you really sit in the room with him and talk to him and ask him questions and hear his response, he's a mature young man who really has it together. I mean, this guy's it's amazing how far along he is and how mature he is for a rookie quarterback, and not just, football-wise. I mean, he seems to just be more mature in life and what he wants to get out of it. And so I thought going into the game against the Giants, people ask, how do you think he's going to play? I think he's going to play well. And I found myself in that first game not viewing him as a rookie any longer. By the second half, I was judging him like you would a veteran quarterback, and you're making comments as though he was a veteran guy. And I think we've all kind of lost sight of the fact that he is such a young player. But what he's done has been amazing. Now, to answer your question as far as what happens when Romo's healthy, I don't think there's any way they don't go back to Romo when he's healthy. And regardless of however well Dak plays and whatever the record is, but if Romo comes back and he doesn't play well, then there's going to be real pressure on the staff, and the public's going to let them know about it. I mean, I've been there. I mean, I was a three-time Super Bowl champion, and they were ready to run me out of town at the end of my career. So I think the city right now is excited about some youth. They're excited about Ezekiel Elliott. They're excited to have a healthy young quarterback that they view as the future and the guy who's going to be, the signal caller for the next 10 years. And that happened even before week one. There was no doom and gloom when Romo went down in the preseason because of what Dak had done. And he's not given anybody any reason not to continue to believe. And he is the future. I mean, this guy has shown that he's going to have a really bright career.
Troy Aikman joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. I mean, it's kind of in a way a shame that if the Romo from the neck up now could be transformed into the Romo of the neck down from years ago, that's the quarterback that could win championships like you in Dallas, Troy, right? I mean, it's like he is as good as they come from the neck up in the NFL right now, and he can't stay healthy. But let's just say Dallas is at the 49ers, home for the Bengals, then at Green Bay. Let's just give them a 2-1 record in that spot. 4-2 going into the bye, coming out with Carson Wentz coming into the Jones Mahal on Sunday Night Football. You think they'll go back to Romo at 4-2 right there and bench Prescott?
I do. I think they're paying him a lot of money. I think that he has a unique relationship with the owner. I don't think there's any way that they don't go back to Romo when he's healthy. And look, I mean, in 1991, I got injured. Steve Berline stepped in, played well, won 5 games in a row. I was then healthy, ready to play, and Jimmy Johnson is the head coach. He wouldn't put me back in to start our postseason play, and he stuck with the hot hand. And I was upset, obviously, at the time when it's happening to you, but I certainly, now, years removed and even shortly after that season, you get the predicament that the coach is in. And I think it does put pressure on the staff, but I just don't see them not putting Romo back in the game and giving him an opportunity. And then if he doesn't play well, then they've got to make a real tough decision as to whether or not you pull the veteran quarterback who has done a lot for your program and your organization and go with the young guy who's the future, or not. And I think there would be a lot of public pressure for them to go back with Dak Prescott. But I don't anticipate that this team's not going to play well in the coming weeks with him. And I do expect that there's going to be a tough call, although I think it's going to be made, relatively easily, as I said, by going back to Romo. But I think from a public perspective, I think it will be a tough call because of how well I expect Dak to continue to play at a very high level. And Rich, what's interesting about Dak is he was regarded as a project. He was not only across the league, but with the Cowboys when he was drafted. He had never taken snaps from center. He had never dropped back. He never ran play-action passes. And you watch him, even in week one, he's doing those things as though it's second nature, like he's been doing them all throughout college. And so he's a quick study, and he's got a good feel for this game and what he can do and his skills. And I think he's going to continue to play at a really high level.
Troy, thanks for calling in. As you know, I think you're awesome at what you do, and I love how you stand up for what's going on in your own house professionally with Fox.
Thanks,
I tweeted at you when
I know you did.
a couple
Thank
weeks
you.
ago. So Thanks for coming on, Troy.
You got it. Anytime, my man.
You bet. That's Troy Aikman on Fox.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.